#1 ranked Oklahoma Sooners are looking to clinch their second straight SEC regular season championship tonight. They'll be facing the 15th ranked Auburn Tigers, who are coming off a season high score last week against Alabama. And hi, everybody. I'm Bart Connor, along with NCAA All-American Kennedy Baker. Kennedy, it seems like the Oklahoma Sooners at this point, their only real competition is themselves.
And that's exactly what head coach KJ Kindler will say. They're trying to beat themselves. They're trying to increase this chase that they have already discovered and found.
Now, for the Auburn Tigers, their objective tonight is completely different.
Yeah, they've had some illnesses and injuries in the beginning of the season, so they're catching up to teams like Oklahoma, want to increase their score tonight.
So let's remind the audience what's at stake for these two teams.
These two teams are going to battle through these scores. Little details for Oklahoma. They want the outright SEC regular season title, and then the second straight score of 197 plus for Auburn, looking to build.
The Oklahoma Sooners are the #1 team in the country, not only as a full team, but in particular on vault. And part of the reason is that is because of associate head coach Lou Ball. He was kind enough to let us mic him up during the warm-ups today.
Two things, you could still kick a little more, and if you would just get through your shoulders just a hair more leaving the table, that could make up the difference also. Down, nope. Okay, we stuck it, and the round off was good, but I don't think you engaged your knees and hips off the board.
Okay.
So you felt it in the elbows a little bit. It's up to you. Okay, well, we caught the same issue that we talked about on the last turn, right? If your legs are squishy on the board, you're gonna be squishy on the table. Right now, you're not engaging the board, so there's no punch to work with, right?
There is Lou Ball. He and his wife, KJ Kindler, along with Tom Haley, 20 years here coaching the Oklahoma Sooners. They, of course, have won 7 of the last 11 NCAA team championships. And vault has always been a great event for the Sooners. And even though we know that they're great, it's interesting to hear those little nitpicks from the head coach. And that's obviously why, Addison Fada and Mackenzie Estep both average over 9.9, and they're in the top 5 in the NCAA vault standings, in addition to OU's depth on that event.
You could hear Bart lose feedback. El Miller stuck a vault, and he still didn't think that was good enough, but that effort and level of perfection that they're trying to reach is what sets them apart in the NCAA.
Interesting, because Oklahoma has a lot of depth on this event in particular. Already Lily Peterson and Faith Torres have been pulled from the lineup after warm-ups, and they're going to give a couple other athletes a chance to go tonight. Hannah Shively.
They're just so dominant, Bart. When you're pulling out Lily Peterson's 9.9 and putting in another 9.9 plus score, you're at a really good spot in the season.
Remind people the dual meet format in NCAA gymnastics. 6 athletes compete for each team on each event. Just the best 5 out of 6 scores count towards their team total. The home event order is what's known as the Olympic order. That's vault, bars, beam, and floor. The visiting team, the Auburn Tigers, will start on the bars and finish on the beam in tonight's competition. What a big night of gymnastics. A triple header here on the SEC network. And right now we have the #1 team in the country, the Oklahoma Sooners, looking to continue to deliver excellence. They're going to open up on the vault in this rotation, and they have a season high of 49.725, which is well over a 9.9 average per athlete. That's just remarkable, especially considering this is a single trick event. You fly and you stick it or you don't.
Well, their technique is another thing that sets them apart. You're going to watch on these Yurchenko 1.5 vaults. They're going to try and spot over their shoulder before they land so they can find those sticks.
Liz Blessy will be the first vaulter. We're going to get to see a couple of different styles of vaults tonight from both of these teams. In fact, I'm looking forward to it.
OU at a slight advantage. They have all 6 10.0 start value vaults. Elizabeth Blessy stuck this cold last week, went 9.975, has really found her groove on this front pike half. missed the block a little bit off of the table. That's that amplitude that you need when you start flipping. If you don't get the full block off of the table, it'll result in that chest down slightly at the end.
Just a little bit under-rotated there. Of course, this is week 9 of the regular season, and so these athletes have been competing every week and sometimes twice on a weekend. And of course, the Sooners just a week ago here in this building had #1 versus #2 in an epic competition against LSU. So now tonight it's the Auburn Tigers' turn, and they're on the bars with Julianne Hough competing in the all-around tonight for Auburn.
Beautiful shoot over right down to the low bar. I like that she held it for a second. She stepped up so much this season. Ends with this double layout. Good stick. It looked like she pulled it in close a little bit there,
It looked like she was close to the bar.
Those feet were just inches away, but dials it in at the end. That just speaks to Julianne Hough's work ethic this season. She went from one event to all events this season.
This is the event that's been the most inconsistent for Auburn. They're ranked in the top 16 on the other 3 events. They're ranked just 33rd in the country on bars. They'll need to have a great night on bars if they're going to come out of this with a big away score. Kira Wells will be the second vaulter up. She did not vault last week. She was out due to illness. This is a completely different style of vaulting, and that we saw from Liz Blessy, who scored a 9.8 in the leadoff spot.
Their first 1.5, great landing out of that. You're gonna notice their run, they have really high knees on their entry into the vault. They think if they can control the run, they can control the landing, and Kira did that really well. Associate coach Lou Ball said earlier in her corrections, she needed straighter knees and straighter elbows, and I think she adjusted really well on the competition vault.
There's a lot of wear and tear on vaulting on the legs and ankles throughout the regular season. She had an ankle sprain a few weeks ago, which slowed her up a little bit as well. Here is Hannah Hagel, the lone senior on the Auburn Tigers. Oh!
And has that slip on that Tkachev. That's going to be a 5/10 deduction. She also connects that Tkachev into her shoot over. So if she cannot do a cast shoot over, she's going to have to repeat it into her low bar release, because that's the only way she knows how to do it. You have to shoot those Tkachevs far out when you're connecting it to the next release, because you need the ample swing out of it to get down to the low bar. Just shot it too far on that one.
Timing is critical on those release moves and re-grasps for sure. Now with a fall like that, she'll lose a half a point and continue her exercise from the place where she fell off. But as we said, this is the event that's the make or breaker for Auburn. Their goal tonight, maybe not to beat Oklahoma, which is unlikely, but to come away from this meet with a strong score in 197 or better. They need a great routine to finish this rotation. Oh no, my goodness.
And that's what's unfortunate. When you take that risk of doing 2 connected releases back to back, you have to repeat it again and make it. She's gonna decide to just do the dismount now. She'll start not from a 10.0. She's gonna start at a 9.7 or even lower, because she's missing some major release moves in this routine now.
This is what this means to the team now. 6 athletes compete, 5, the best 5 scores count. That means the rest of the rotation, everyone needs to hit if Auburn's going to come away with rotation 1 with a respectable team score. Really unfortunate and an uncharacteristic mistakes for her. Hannah Hagel. Hannah Shively will come up next after Kira Wells had a 9.875.
Hannah's been in and out of this vault lineup. I knew from her warm-up, though, she was going to be in today.
Oh, yeah.
And she did just that in warm-up. Gets the stick train started for Oklahoma.
Hannah Shively doing that handspring pike front half. She's in place of Faith Torres, and boy, did she deliver.
Vault is arguably the hardest lineup to break into for Oklahoma Gymnastics just because they're so dominant. Head coach KJ Kindler said if you step out, you might not get back in, but I think Hannah's going to be in for a minute now.
Caitlin Jong now, the sophomore from Allen, Texas now. Score came in for Hannah Hagel, a 7.9. So this is a very important routine for Caitlin Jong. She's just about a year out from an Achilles tear and a surgery. It's a long process to get back to full strength in gymnastics. And she's competing only in the uneven bars right now because there's too much strain on the Achilles on the leg events, vault, floor, and beam. But they're hoping that she'll compete all around later on this year. She's training all 4 events. As an athlete, after a mistake like that for Hannah Hagel, what are you thinking as the next athlete up?
You're usually thinking about how can I get the team back on track, but you also have to fall back on your mental prep. If you try and do too much or go too hard, you're not going to get that made routine that you're looking for. You've got to rely on your training and your mental routine before. Kiko opens with this chow release move. You're not going to see a lot of people straddle before they do that release. Just has her dismount left. This has been the most challenging thing for her since that Achilles injury. Oh. And her best stick so far this year. Gets the team back on track as well. Interesting here, feet placement on that landing. That's another way of sort of protecting the Achilles, isn't it? You can tell that she is definitely trying to protect those ankles on the way down, those staggered feet. The judges do need to see it side by side. They'll take a slight deduction, but not for the stick. Kudos to her for coming back so quickly after an Achilles tear. Mackenzie Estep now coming after Hannah Shively at a 9.925. Blue ball wants her to focus on her arm position out of the 1.5. Well done. A small shuffle forwards, but good control out of it and nice amplitude off of the table. Olivia Greaves will be next up for Auburn on the bars. We're going to talk a little bit about one of her spectacular release moves here. Yeah, I wanted to emphasize her hip position because Jeff Graba told us that's the most important part of this release for her. If her hips are flat, she can get that late drop and connect directly into her next release right there. If she gets the cast handstand all the way to the top of the bar, she doesn't have to drop as late. But if she's short, she's got to wait a little bit longer before she comes into the bar to get that swing away from it. Kiko Zhang getting the team back on track with a respectable 9.8. Here's Greaves. The cast was short. She had to wait on the drop, but is swinging beautifully out of it. I love it when she connects all of those elements together. Full twisting double tuck. Oh. Nice dismount. Actually slow in the rotation. I'm impressed that she got the stick out of that. Shows a lot of patience, which comes with maturity and seniority in your gymnastics. That cast was short. She had to wait to put her feet under the bar.
And the next Oklahoma on ball is Miller.
Nicely done from Olivia Greaves. Very aggressive swing for her. Her sister Sophia also on the team. Here's Al Miller. Nice effort. Judges can take up to a 10.5 for those steps. They'll use their discretion to decide how big that was. It looked about a 10th to me. Before her, Mackenzie Estep had a 9.9. KJ Kindler, she says they're usually focused on trying to get 4 stuck landings in vault.
I'm just wondering at this point in the season if everybody's just a little bit worn out and a little of that edge is off. Emma Grace Boyd now. Olivia Greaves had a 9.875, their high score over there for her aggressive swing.
Started as an exhibition at the beginning of the season, has made her way as a staple in this lineup. Has beautiful lines on top of the bar, just really straight from her head to her toes. And another stuck dismount. This is what Auburn needs in the bounce back. They've got to find those sticks if they want to stay in competition with Oklahoma.
They just need one more hit routine there. Now Addison Fada will be next up for Oklahoma on the vault. And a couple of weeks ago, got a big moment for her. Her first perfect 10 on vault. I love that joy and excitement. Let's see if she can deliver another one tonight. 9.875, the score for Elle Miller.
She's rushing in the warm-ups a little bit off of the table. The best 1.5s are when there's a delayed twist off of the table. Nice delay in that twist. Small hop forward. These are little deductions. I know head coach KJ Kindler wants them to dial in the landings, increase their scoring potential on vault, but these are clean vaults. And you mentioned how this season, you know, it's grueling on your legs. Oklahoma does a ton of leg conditioning. They've actually put in specific emphasis on leg conditioning in the second half of the season, getting them ready for post.
That's a good point. A lot of teams, it seems like you're dealing with injuries and fatigue as the season goes on. Oklahoma really stays focused on that conditioning because it doesn't sound normal, but you can actually get out of shape as the season goes on, can't you?
You train less as the season goes on, and as your body goes through more wear and tear, there's less training. So yeah, you've got to stay up on that conditioning.
Emma Grace Boyd had a 9.9, their high score there. Here's Alex Irvine. She's traditionally the anchor competitor.
Beautiful job on that Jaeger directly to her shoot over. That's an E-level release move. We rate our skills in the alphabet. In gymnastics, E's are the hardest. And wow, nice stick from Alex Irvine. They will take a deduction for that chest position at the end, but she is such a fighter. Jeff Gray was so impressed with the gamer that she's been this season. I like that her toes were pointed throughout as well, especially on that E-level release move. It's hard to keep your legs all the way extended. She does that well.
Alex Irvine, the junior from Roseville, California. He was formerly at UCLA, transferred to Auburn, and she said she loves the family atmosphere at the Auburn Tigers on the Plains. Now, they needed that hit because, remember, Hannah Hagel had only a 7.85. So expect a good score for Alex Irvine. And that, as we mentioned at the top, this has been one of the events that's been the least consistent for the Auburn Tigers. Score in now for Alex Irvine is a 9.825. Here are their scores on bars the last few weeks.
They've had struggles on bars this season. I was impressed with their bounce back, though, today. You need that adaptability, especially in the postseason. Things happen all the time. It's about how well you can get back on track so that mistake doesn't phase the rest of the lineup.
All right, that completes the first of 4 rotations. The Oklahoma Sooners will be getting warmed up on the uneven bars in rotation 2, and the visiting Auburn Tigers will be on the vault. Friday Night Heights is presented. Moving on to bars in the second rotation. They have a lead of 0.3 of a point over the visiting Auburn Tigers. Now, Oklahoma takes a lot of risk on bars because they have a lot of what we call single bar release moves, Kennedy.
These are the hardest releases that you can do in NCAA gymnastics and in gymnastics in general. Hannah Shively starts with their first release, a Jaeger. She's doing a front flip back to the bar. Then Mackenzie Estep does a Tkachev, which is over the top of the bar. Lily Peterson and Faith Torres do this Ray release move. You've got to have a lot of ab strength to get over the bar. The risk that most teams maybe take on floor, Oklahoma's doing that on bars and beam. Addison closes with that piped Ray, an E-level release.
Okay, here's Olivia Greaves leading off Auburn here in the rotation 2 on ball.
Nice landing for Olivia Greaves. That ball only starts from a 9.95.
You talked about Oklahoma Sooner doing a lot of difficulty on bars as they did on vault. There are 5 of the 6 athletes here for Auburn competing what are 10-0 start value vaults. Greaves was not one of them. Hers was a 9.95 start, a little lower degree of difficulty. Here we go now with Lily Peterson. Rotation 2 for the Sooners.
Stunning height on that Ray. I like how she caught with straight elbows. The judges want to see their arms all the way extended when they get back to the bar. Also closes with this double layout. On this skill, it's not a deduction, but if you can keep your hips flat on both layouts, it becomes an E as well.
What a start. Lily Peterson had a 9.95 last week. That was just as clean. Talk about how good Oklahoma is here. 49-6 last week was an amazing team score, averaging 9.925 per athlete.
Lily's been exceptional this year on bars. I would credit that double layout and E. I think her hips are flat in both skills. Well done.
Mia Leverton now coming after Olivia Greaves, led off Auburn on vault.
Does their first Yurchenko 1.5, gets their 10.0s. Rolling and going for the team, has been working on dialing in that landing. On events like vault, it's tricky to know how much adrenaline you use.
Leverton, the freshman from South Carolina.
Flare those arms out too late, had a step forwards. Your arm position is super important on vault, especially you want those arms flared out at the right moment so you can spot or feel your feet dial in and absorb that landing.
KJ Kindler in her 20th year here at Oklahoma has never lost to Auburn. Oklahoma, a heavy favorite in about every meet they go to, but especially at home. Their record here in the Lloyd Noble Center is 155-4. Lily Peterson had another 9.95 back-to-back from last week. Here's Ella Murphy.
Ella is a stunning bar swinger. Her toe point is exceptional. All the way through her Achilles and ankles. You're not gonna see a break in form. The smallest step forward, that's gonna be the biggest deduction in that routine.
Ella Murphy, the freshman, one of the highly recruited freshmen out of the World Olympic Gymnastics Academy. And there's Jeff Graba, the 3-time SEC Coach of the Year. He's had, as he told us on the phone this week, to deal with injury, illness, and inconsistencies. Didn't get off to a very strong start. So that means extra pressure late in the season to get high scores to set them up for the postseason.
Yeah, it's more important how you finish the season than how you start. And while they didn't get the ball rolling in the beginning, they're building the momentum throughout the season.
Marissa Neal coming after Leverton's 9.8.
Marissa's been so consistent. Her best season yet. Is such a hard worker in the gym, and you see that hard work come through in her gymnastics.
She says the key on vault is to not overthink it. She likes to get herself off to the side and get herself calm before she blasts one of those vaults. Hannah Shively now will be next up. Ella Murphy had a 9.85. Shively had that 9.925 on vault in the first rotation.
Beautiful height on her Jaeger release move. Actually struggled with that in the warm-up, but you would never know. Poses with this full twisting double tuck. She has been just drilling this landing this season. And another one for Hannah Shively. This is her revenge tour season, and we feel that from you, Hannah. Nice height and distance away from this. Actually overshot one in the warm-up. I'm happy that she kept the same distance. Sometimes you'll see people pull in anticipation to get to the bar faster, but Hannah was relaxed and she was able to catch it.
What great form on that full twisting double somersault. Julianne Hough now coming up after Marissa Neal had a 9.9. Ooh!
She went for the stick. She tried to flare those arms out. You'll see her feet were slightly in front of you. You need your feet underneath your hips if you want to absorb those landings. I know she was going for the stick last week. Her and Marissa Neal went back-to-back and stuck landings on that 1.5. But coaches would rather see an aggressive mistake like that, going for a stick.
You mentioned going for the stick. You really have to sort of throw your feet out in front of you with the idea that you're going to just drill it like a dart going into the dartboard. But, you know, the adrenaline is always a little bit different, so you can't always predict that. Addison Feda now. Shively at a 9.9.
Opens with that church, caught with arms slightly bent, so she's gonna disconnect her next release.
So
and
high.
She had to work that to keep her feet off of the ground. Nice stick to finish out that routine. I talked about anticipating the bar too soon in Hannah Shively's routine, and this is kind of what Addison did right here. You'll see those elbows were bent. Judges want to see those arms completely straight. And also, if you want to connect your next skill out, you've got to have straight arms. Spots nicely on that double layout.
Paige Zancan will be the next vaulter. This is an unusual technique. You don't see this often in college gymnastics. It's a front handspring onto the board.
You have to have a lot of shoulder strength to get the block away from the table. Yes, ma'am, Paige Zancan with the clean stick. Scored a 9.975 at the beginning of season on that vault. Difficult. 2 front handsprings before she even leaves the table. Most athletes only do 1.
Up next for your sitters on bars, Mackenzie Easton.
Oh, that was great. Great job for her coming after Julianne Hough had a 9.775. So the Sooners now go back over to the bars. Mackenzie Eastep, Addison Feda had a 9.925 there.
Nice first cast handstand. Putting a lot of emphasis on her cast. Closes with this giant full into her full twisting release. Has good twisting timing.
Another stuck landing. I believe that's 4 out of 5 stuck landings for Oklahoma on bars. Eastep currently tied for 13 in the country. Hasn't scored below a 9.875 on this event.
I can imagine that's going to be a closer, higher score today. Dials it in so well. So impressive as a freshman.
She, one of the highly recruited athletes for sure. Oklahoma lucky to land her. Bryn Torrey now coming after Paige Zancan. Had a 9.925 career high for her.
Good job of saving that landing. Actually came in too hot in those legs. You want their knees bent. When you see them get those sticks, it means they're absorbing the landing. If they're too straight, sometimes the knees start to go backwards. Great landing from Bryn Torrey, though.
We'll be back on the bars now for Oklahoma Sooners. Faith Torres coming after E-Step scored a 9.875.
Such a beautiful opening, Ray. She gets so much height on that. Faith's biggest deduction in this routine is just her leg separation. On the pack salto and on this double layout, if she could just keep her legs together,
oh yeah,
she'll be a half a tenth higher. And I think that was feet side by side. It looks like from the side, the legs were so much closer together today. I love the way she pops this up. She almost bounces the bar at the bottom to get more height at the top.
We hope everyone's enjoying this competition. Remember, coming up next on Friday Night Heights, it rolls on with one more meet tonight on our triple header. We'll take you out to the PMAC in Baton Rouge for number 3 Alabama and number 2 LSU. You can always watch it live on the ESPN app as well. In that rotation, that's usually their goal, is 4 out of 6. Well done. All right, that concludes the second of 4 rotations. In the next rotation, the Oklahoma Sooners go to the event where the number 1 team in the country on the beam, in Auburn will be on the floor. Friday Night Heights continues on Bar Connor along with Kennedy Baker here in Norman, Oklahoma. The Sooners have a lead by .55 over the visiting Auburn Tigers. Auburn will be going on to floor in the next rotation. And Auburn head coach Jeff Graba wore a mic for us during the warm-ups. Let's take a listen.
Are you trying to make them mad or what? It looked like it. Push it more forward, okay? Yeah. It looked like you're like getting out there. Is the floor nice? It seems like it's throwing you guys.
It's like hard, but
Don't run so fast. Just be tight, okay?
yes.
Go for your landings. The one you did over there, you're waiting for the floor to hit you. Go for the floor.
Are you gonna be mic'd up?
I am right now, but I'll get rid of it in a little bit.
You are right now?
Yeah.
I didn't even look.
Oh.
Right there.
Get out of here.
Olivia Ahern, she couldn't resist getting that close to a microphone. It's interesting to see the dynamics of these coaches. Somebody like Jeff Graba is quite different than somebody like Lou Ball. It's true. Addison Fada now will lead off the Sooners here on beam. Interesting that she's a leadoff competitor. Typically your scores start low and build, and yet she's still number 10 in the NCAA, and she's the first one up every time. and earning it. Feda, the sophomore from Wrightsville, Pennsylvania, coached by her parents, Tony and Jen. She's having an incredible year so far tonight. 9-9 on vault and a 9.925 on bars as well.
Also gets the confidence going for the rest of the lineup. Has to feel good watching Addison go up and hit, build some confidence for the next routine up.
Okay, the leadoff competitor now for Auburn. They trailed the Sooners by a half a point here in the third of 4 rotations. This is Bryn Bartman, sophomore from North Carolina. She's been their floor leadoff all season long.
Clean first pass. I understand why Bryn is in this starter role. She's been consistent this season. Auburn's put a lot of emphasis on their landings, especially on floor. Well done on that Wolf double turn. She needs that. It's a D-level element. Short on that last pass. Feet were behind her. You want those feet directly underneath you when you land. Almost looked like she ran out of gas a little bit at the end. We've mentioned that this is a long season. Just wasn't patient enough getting to the lunge. Judges want to see a step backwards or a step in the direction that they're landing coming out in those lunges to not get a deduction. So they will take one for the step forwards.
Remember, Auburn is competing without Sophia Bell, one of their bright stars. She had an Achilles rupture a couple of weeks ago and had subsequent surgery. So they have been dealing with injury and illness and some inconsistency that has really slowed up Auburn's progress. But as of last week, they started to get on track. They had a great meet and a very tight loss to Alabama. But they need a tight loss to Alabama. But they need big scores throughout the rest of the season if they're going to set themselves up for the postseason, which is based on scores, not win-loss records. Second up now for the Sooners, Kara Wells, Addison Feda, as predicted, 9-9 to start them off.
And they just build off of this 9-9. Kira's another high scorer on this event, almost with this difficult side aerial switch leg.
That is so cool.
It's so unique. You just don't see that in gymnastics because of how difficult it is. But you would never know by the way she performs it. Kira had an ankle injury, so she's been out of this beam lineup the past couple of weeks, but she's back in, looking stronger than ever. Actually finishes her routine with her acro series. You're gonna see most gymnasts do that in the beginning and adjusted quickly out of that. OU excels at their beam landings. You'll see she stayed forward in the lunge. So if they're crooked, they can save it because of that aggression in the front foot in the lunge. She closes with a stick. Kira Wells, good job, and welcome back to beam. The sharpest landings in NCAA beam are done by Oklahoma. You're gonna see how aggressive they are when they slam their arms down after the lunge or hold them up, like right here. Was able to adjust her hips so fast and keep it on top of the beam with minimal deduction.
I mentioned some of the struggles that Auburn has had this year. They're 0-6 in the conference, and of course, injuries has been a big part of their story. Sophia Bell 2 weeks ago tore her Achilles, and that has put them behind the 8 ball. However, Jeff Graba is very impressed how this team is adapting to new lineups and athletes who are not necessarily in the lineup now getting opportunities.
Emma Wary, the transfer with the cold stick on her first pass, the double pike.
Wary, the junior, she transferred from West Virginia.
You mentioned their adaptability, and Emma is one of those athletes that has had to adjust and bails out of her last pass. That's supposed to be a double tuck, 2 flips in the air, not one. That's going to be a significant lower in her start value. She's not going to start at a 10. It looked like she didn't have enough momentum out of her front tuck. It was a smart choice to not commit to it because it could have been a dangerous landing coming out of it. But this is the score that they're going to have to drop now.
Really unusual. What do you think happened here?
She didn't have enough momentum out of the round-off back handspring to set for the double tuck and then bailed out of it. A smart gymnastics choice, but it is going to decrease that start value.
She was attempting one of those passes that has 2 different somersaults in it, a front step out through to a double back. And if you're off a little bit, she made the right choice rather than just going for it. Ella Murphy now on the beam. Kira Wells followed up Faye's 9-9 with the 9-9-2-5 of her own.
She has some of my favorite dance work on beam. I mentioned her attention to detail on bars, how she's completely straight in her legs and toes, but also in her dance and choreography. Oklahoma focuses a lot on that. It's why they excel at beam. If you're more focused on the dance, sometimes the skills come easier. Dances right out of this front aerial into her choreography.
Talking to the Auburn gymnast earlier this week about what is it about Oklahoma that makes them so good, and she said they attack. And I see that on beam. They look like they're not tentative here at all.
And it feels like it should be the opposite, right? Beam is small. You think you need to go slower or be less aggressive, but it's the opposite. You need to be more dominant, more on the attack. Actually, Jordan Bowers, when she was here and we had a chance to talk to her, said that's what she did so well, and then she won the national championship. So clearly it's working. Didn't get the stick on that gainer full, but clean work throughout on top of the beam. Worked on spotting her feet into the ground on this, just didn't hold the bend in her knees long enough.
There's Ashley Kerr, former gymnast and assistant at Florida, now here with the Sooners on their staff. They not yet have the score for Emma Wary. When there's a mistake in a routine, sometimes it's really hard to calculate the score because it affects the start value as well as execution points. But now I see her score coming up. Looks to be an 8.8. So once again, as Auburn had put themselves in a bind on bars, they're doing the same here now on floor because they need 4 hit routines to come through this rotation with a decent team score. Oklahoma continuing to excel on the beam.
And they've adjusted this routine for Olivia Ahern to increase her scoring potential, have simplified it a little bit to put more tenths on the board for their floor lineup. Opens with that wolf double turn. Her hardest dance element in this routine.
Whoa, looks like she stayed in bounds.
Good effort.
Close call.
Very close. Those toes were just right there. She was overshooting it in the warm-up. Went out of bounds a couple of times. Actually, Jeff Graba told her, don't run so far, be tight.
It's interesting, you heard Coach Graba asking the gymnasts what they thought of the floor, and they said it was quite springy. And so from a gymnast perspective, it's very interesting because that's the most important thing is how does the equipment feel? When you show up at a meet, it's always a little bit different, isn't it?
It is different meet to meet. And there's different challenges with both. If the floor is really springy, you have to work harder on those landings to dial it in like Olivia did on her first pass. But if the floor isn't as bouncy, you don't get as much height, but the landings are easier. And you'll see she just flew on that layout step out, had to fight to keep those toes in.
You're allowed to step on the tape, but you can't go over. You know, we talked to KJ Kindler last week about, you know, how do you build a proper beam rotation? I thought this was really interesting because you start off with a couple of athletes who have the stability and experience. Then you can take a risk on your third athlete, but your fourth athlete is usually the person that is sort of reliable in getting them back on track in case there was a mistake. And there's very few mistakes for the Sooners there, but Ella Murphy had a 9.85, and that brings up Lily Peterson in the fourth spot.
Lily is just a rock on this event. You'll see those eyes don't leave the end of the beam. The quicker they can spot the end of the beam, the quicker they know where they're at. Just the dismount left, poses with this round off double twist. She's been working on getting the stick out of this. A step backwards. She's been working on holding her feet into the landing position to not take that step backwards.
Let's take a minute to talk about this, the building of beam rotation. From your perspective, how important is this dynamic of getting the athletes in the right order?
It's incredibly important, and each team has a different technique. Some people don't start with experience and stability. Some people start with the youth because, hey, it's the first person that doesn't really have experience. Let's get it out of the way. KJ takes a different approach. I want experience and stability to get the ball rolling for the rest of the routine. I'll put my youth in the middle, and she's getting the job done.
And she always says that fifth spot, they can be flexible there and take a little bit of a risk. But she already has four superbly hit routines. Elle Miller will be in the fifth spot. We go back now to Julianne Hough competing in the all-around. Tonight she has 2 scores of 9.775s on vault and bars.
This first pass is their only E-level tumbling pass in their lineup. And she just flies on this full twisting double tuck. She has been consistently sticking this pass this season. So high, you're gonna see her even flare out a little bit at the end. We know the floor is bouncy. Well done, actually had a lot of power, had to fight to keep her weight on her front foot. Gets the job done though.
You see that safety landing mat there. The athletes are allowed to use that to save the ankles. No deduction. Had her career high in the all-around last week against Alabama, 39.525.
She's such a powerful gymnast. Closes with these 3 elements in a row. Front layout, front full, front tuck. a little shy in that last skill. It's hard to connect 2 elements in a row. So when you're doing 3, you're taking a little bit of a risk there.
Her favorite event, the floor. They call her Juju. The junior from Hoover, Alabama, Julianne Hough.
I really like the amplitude she gets on that full twisting double tuck. You see those legs straighten before she goes to her lunge. You got to have enough height to do that.
Lily Peterson's score is a 9.85. Elle Miller in that 5th spot. Miller, sophomore from Twin City Twisters Club in Minnesota.
Head coach KJ Kindler likes being at the end of the beam so she can see their hip alignment and where their feet are placed coming into and out of their skills. Nice job. Made a quick adjustment with her hip, and because she was so sharp, she was able to minimize that deduction in her lunge out of the series. That side flip, you're technically supposed to land with your feet facing the judges. They're completely sideways. Elle kind of twist out of that. I don't think they usually take the deduction for that, but you are supposed to have both feet sideways when you come into the beam. She finesses it well, though, so the judges don't take it in a stick on that 1.5 landing. Good job for Elle Miller.
Oklahoma, the #1 team in the country on beam nearly every year. And a lot of it has to do with the coaching dynamics, the technique and strategy of KJ Kindler. Takes a lot of pride in getting the beam rotation just right. Just as Lou Ball is sort of dialed in on the vault, Tom Haley's dialed in on the tumbling. KJ's event is beam and floor choreography. Now we go back to Auburn. Julianne Hough, her best score of the day, 9.825 on floor. Here's Marissa Neal.
Beautiful height on her double pike. It was so floaty in the air. They put a lot of emphasis on their landings, and I think Marissa does this leap series well. Shows that completion all the way around. Poses with this front through to double tuck. The same skill that Emma Weary had that mistake on earlier. Very nice landing out of that. Such a clean stick and routine for Marissa. They needed this.
Coach Graba said she's no talk and all action. Her style of leadership is stepping up because the team needs her. Now Faith Torres steps up every time, and one of the things she does is take an enormous risk here with this combination on beam, Kennedy.
I wanted to break down this acro series because it's so hard to do. This is the part that they focus on the most. It's a technique. They want those legs straight and tight, so when she pushes into the layout, she can hold on her front leg. You'll see Faith's back foot is turned out, so KJ really emphasizes staying on her front leg in the lunge so she can get the stick.
That combination, aerial to layout, one of the toughest combinations you'll see in collegiate gymnastics, in fact, in the world. Elle Miller had a 9.925, and here is Faith Torres, who is in that coveted anchor spot with the scores set up for her. Aggressive.
Beautifully done. I like Faith's beam work because she carries her aggression in a different way. A way that, say, Elle Miller or Ella Murphy is really sharp. Faith's really chill. She's gonna get to the landing, but she's gonna be chill about it. But she's gonna show it off and make sure that, hey, this is a stick. I just feel like I'm on the floor, not the beam, though.
Oh, yes.
And the way she performs that gainer full is superb. She flares her hips out. You don't see that from a lot of gainer fulls in collegiate gymnastics. You have to have rise off of the beam.
KJ Kindler told us she really likes her style of leadership. Faith Torres is different than, say, Jordan Bowers, but equally effective.
It's working. You see the leadership in her gymnastics, and then you feel it in the chemistry from the team on the side. KJ helping her with that stick.
KJ graduated, of course, some legends like Jordan Bowers and Audrey Davis, Danny Sievers, and retired Danae Fletcher. So respecting and expecting high leadership from people like Faith Torres, and very happy with what she and Ava Sigfeld are bringing to the team in terms of leadership and scores. Olivia Greaves now in the anchor spot for Auburn. 9.85 was the score for Marissa Neal.
Front through to double tuck. Big step back to the lunge. The judges will deduct for that slide back, but stays in bounds. Olivia comes from a strong elite gymnastics background, and you see that reflected in those leaps. Clean double pike at the end of her routine. They can drop Emma's score. That's her last pass in this routine.
All right, so Auburn does very well on floor. No score in the 9.9s, but Auburn having a good day, but probably not the day that they had hoped for. They wanted to break that 197 mark. They've only done that a couple of times this year. And as we talk, scores matter when they start calculating what's called the NQS, the National Qualifying Score. Different than a lot of sports, the gymnasts are ranked based on their scores throughout the season, and this year there's a particular emphasis on away scores. So Auburn needs a big away score here today because they only have a few more opportunities to get away scores to contribute to their postseason opportunities.
NQS is super important for Auburn because it decides where they're at in the rankings for those regional seedings later this year. You want to be in a good spot so you have a good postseason chance to get to the championships.
We wait on the final score there for Auburn on the floor. They're going to drop that 8.8 from Emma Weary for her mistake. And so this is an important score because they'll jump up probably about a point. Now it looks like the judges are going to confer. Typically, judges' conferences come about when the judges are too far apart in what they believe the score should be. What do you think is going on here, Kennedy?
I think they were too far apart, like you said, Bart. I don't think there were any scoring discrepancies with the start value. I think that they just came out with different scores, and they need to get closer together to decide that average that works and makes sense to the rules of gymnastics.
There's a good crowd on hand tonight as they get set for the 4th and final rotation. It was a historic crowd a week ago when number 1 versus number 2 were here in the Lloyd Noble Center. They had 10,224 to see Oklahoma and LSU, the largest crowd in OU gymnastics history. KJ Kindler, you know, as a head coach, they're not just responsible for putting a team on the floor, but head coaches have an enormous responsibility to put people in the seats, to promote, to do every interview. Even after that LSU-Oklahoma meet a week ago, the next morning at 6:30 in the morning, all the coaching staff's on airplanes somewhere, flying to recruit and continue the momentum. It's really, I don't think people realize how much is on the plate of a head coach. Most people think they just need to prepare the team for the next meet Friday.
These head coaches are so clocked in. They're taking on about 17 jobs because that's what it takes to run these gymnastics programs. They want people in the seats, and they want the best lineups they can do.
All right, we'll update the score when we come back. Looks like Olivia Greed has a 9.825. All right, Friday Night Heights is presented by Sprouts Farmers Market, a fishy, healthy grocer of the Southeastern Conference. And we're back set for the 4th and final rotation. The Sooners have a substantial lead of 1.225 over the visiting Auburn Tigers. Now, Auburn on the beam in this 4th rotation. They need to average just under 9.9 if they're going to break that 197.4, which is the goal that they had coming into this competition. Now, OU tonight, their opportunity is they can clinch the regular season SEC title based on win-loss records with only a 48.8. So Oklahoma has led this meet start to finish, and they don't expect to let up on the floor. Now, Auburn has an opportunity here on beam because this is one of their best events. They're ranked 12th in the country here, and they have an opportunity to get back on track. Maybe not the 197.4 they were hoping for, but they were hoping to break into that 197 plus score range. That's a 9.85 average for those at home who are doing the math. A 198 score, which is a championship level score, that's a 9.9 average or better. So Oklahoma has 5 of the 10 198 scores this year. And I don't know if they're on track for a 198 tonight, but they'll have enough to win this one and bring home the regular season SEC title.
Oh, an unfortunate fall for Olivia Ahern. Last week, she started the team off with a 9.9.
Right.
Said she liked being in the starter role because she liked starting her team off strong. It's hard when you're the away team because you're ending on beam, not doing it as your 3rd event. Even more pressure in that away environment. And you can see she's just frustrated with that mistake. And the pressure's on the rest of this beam lineup.
Sure is.
Because this is the score they're definitely going to want to drop. Really just didn't get through to her back foot on the lunge. Foot was totally sideways. That means your hip is turned out too. If your foot is in line with the beam, that means your hips are squared to the beam.
Important opportunity for Auburn to get back on track here and finish this meet on a positive note. Oklahoma comfortably in the lead as Lily Peterson steps to the floor. Peterson, the sophomore from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. In her club training with KJ Kindler's sister, Lori Wiskoski, and her husband, Bart.
Lily's been fantastic in this starter role. Opens with that front double twist. Oklahoma does a lot of twisting elements in their floor rotation. KJ likes the landing of those front twisting and forward landing twists because it's easier on the ankles, especially in a long season like collegiate gymnastics. You want to protect your body as much as possible. KJ Kindler also likes choreographing dance out of their passes to minimize deduction.
Good point.
You mentioned Tom Haley being that corrector on floor and a staple for their floor lineup. He emphasizes their leaps, wants their feet all the way around and the splits all the way at 180 degrees, and Lily did that well. Got a lot of height on this, actually flared it out a little bit. See those arms opened up because she was so high in the air. Loved that pass from Lily Peterson.
Olivia Greaves now gets the call to go second up. She's now in the lineup in place of Emma Wary. I think this is an important routine because Olivia Ahern had a 9-1 and the team looked a bit dejected. This would be a great chance for Auburn to finish on a positive note, Kennedy.
And Olivia Greaves wasn't originally in the beam lineup. It was Emma Weary. I heard her talking to head coach Jeff Graba, and he said if they had hits, she wouldn't go in. If they had a mistake, she would probably go in, and I think that's why we're seeing her right now. She has this maturity about her gymnastics that they know if she can get the hit, she can get the lineup going back on track. Had a couple wobbles throughout this routine, but her job right now is to stay on top of the beam so the rest of the lineup can get it going again. Nice effort on that dismount. She does her job. Maybe wasn't even expecting to go in, but goes in last minute. That's what you want in an athlete.
Keep in mind, coming up next after us, it is Caitlin Chio and the number 2 LSU Tigers as they welcome number 3 Alabama down at the PMAC. So that will be the third in our triple header tonight on the SEC network. Stick around for that one. That will be great. Number 2 versus number 3. Today we have number 1, the Sooners, against number 15, the Auburn Tigers, and Lily Peterson led off the Sooners with another 9-9. Ella Murphy, freshman.
Nice stick on that double tug, no deduction there. They actually prefer if she takes that lunge backwards just for safety causes, but Ella felt so strongly in the air that she was gonna get the stick. She said, no way, I'm keeping these feet planted.
Yeah, it's a way of saying to the judges, that's what I do right there. Murphy, the freshman from Frisco, Texas. Highly recruited.
Here's that choreography out of her last pass. She ends with her leap, actually. This switch full that she does is a D-level element, pretty challenging.
Mentioned at D level, skills are rated A to E, A being the easiest, E the hardest.
Good job getting her feet all the way around, a little shy in her back leg. But that should be a small deduction. Clean routine from Ella Murphy. I liked the rise on this pass and then how quickly she popped her chest up as well. Judges want those shoulders up quick.
There's Tom Haley, one of the associate head coaches. Julianne Hough, you can see her scores tonight. She's the only athlete from Auburn competing in the all-around, all 4 events.
And she opens with a hard series, side aerial layout, step out, the same series we broke down with Faith Torres. Good adjustment. She looked crooked in the air out of that side aerial. Gets it back on track in the layout, step out. Well done from Julianne Hough. I talked about her power on floor. You see that in her beam work as well. Even on those simple, quote unquote, jumps that she did. So much flight off of the beam. The biggest deduction in that routine is going to be that step backwards on that dismount. But again, they need 5 hits in a row now. And she contributed to one of those 5. Good adjustment out of that. The sharpness in the lunge as well contributed to her staying on the beam.
Scores in for Ella Murphy, 9.925 after Lily Peterson led them off with a 9.9. Here's Mackenzie Estep. He's having an amazing freshman year. This incredible freshman class. In fact, this team, 74% of the scores for the Oklahoma Sooners this year have come from underclassmen, including people like Mackenzie Estep, who just seems so confident.
You would never know that she's a freshman. I like the vibe of Mackenzie's routine. You see different choreography styles throughout their floor lineup. She's definitely one of the more fun dancers on the team.
She said one of her challenges during her floor routine is see if she can get the judges to smile back at her.
I see her making that eye contact with the judge right now. Round off 2.5.
Wow.
Has really great air awareness on those twisting skills. You've got to know exactly where you're at in the air. Her timing is perfect.
How good is Mackenzie Estep? Well, she's the first freshman since Maggie Nichols, the OU legend, to earn a 9.9 or better on 3 events in her college debut.
She's exceptional. We talked about spotting on vault. I could even tell out of that 2.5 twist. She looked over her shoulder. She saw the floor and knew exactly where she was at.
Comes from a very athletic family. Her father, Blair, played rugby at Washington, and her sister, Katie, is a Team USA weightlifter. Anna Hagel now on beam. Julianne Hough had a 9.775, so you can see their scores on your scoring tower to the right. They need to continue to build, get the best possible away score they can tonight.
Hannah does some unique combinations throughout this routine. Starts with this front aerial, that handspring. Good job working through that acro series. The arms need to be continuous for the judges.
It would be nice if she could have a big finish here. She struggled in her first event on the bar, scored only a 7.85 after 2 falls.
This would be a great bounce back for Hannah. It's also tricky when you do 2 events, one being bars and one being beam, first and last. You're waiting the rest of the competition until you're up again. Hard job to do when you're closing on beam.
Stay angry for 2 hours. Good for her.
Clean stick. Well done from Hannah Hagel. That has to feel good. Getting a routine that they can count under their belt, especially on beam.
We've talked before about angry beam. Is that a good mental mindset for beam? Be a little bit angry?
You want to be mad on beam. If you're mad, you're more aggressive. You're sharper in your landings. And you're not caring as much when you're mad. So you're getting the stick easier for some reason.
I get it. Addison Fada will be next up for the Sooners. Look at the day she's having. She'll fix the all-around easily with a score of 9.45 or better. That won't be a problem. Mackenzie Estep, a career-high 9.95. So the Sooners putting on a show here in this fourth and final rotation on their way to easily securing their second straight SEC regular season title.
She's been working through this first pass. Learned it over the summer. The hardest part about this pass is keeping her bottom leg tight out of the first skill, this front full step out. It's a tricky skill. Too much power today.
Looks like her toe just went over the line. That'll be a 1/10 of a point deduction. One of the tougher combinations in college gymnastics, a front full back through to a back 2.5.
Those front step outs are just tricky in general, even without the twist, and Addison takes that challenge. The first person that I even saw do a front step out was Maggie Nichols from Oklahoma when she was on the team. But it's hard to keep your legs tight enough out of that skill to continue it into the next pass.
All right.
Closes strongly. They'll take that 10th, like you said, of deduction because she was out of bounds. Your toes can be on the line, but they need to be inside the line. If it's outside the line, it's a deduction. Good effort out of that front full today. Just overshot the 2.5.
KJ Kindler takes such pride in choreographing these routines, picking the music and finding what's just right for each athlete. It's certainly part of a trademark for the Oklahoma Sooners, in addition to their world-class work on beam, is innovative choreography and floor music. Alex Irvine now. Hannah Hagel at a 9.775. So Auburn hoping to finish up with a couple of strong routines.
Alex in her strongest season yet. Jeff Graba said she just can't stop getting better. Started as an exhibition in this beam lineup and has worked her way into the back half of the lineup. Finesses out of that one-handed back handspring. That's challenging to do. Most athletes put both hands on the beam. She takes the risk of only one hand. Tuck gainer full, nails the stick. The judges can't see any pause and movement in between elements. We'll see what they decide to do if they thought that that connection was clean enough.
Spoke to Alex earlier this week, the junior out of Roseville, California. She loves camping and hiking, and she says when she graduates, she's planning a big hunting trip with her dad. You don't normally think of gymnasts elk hunting, but that's what she likes to do.
Such a gamer. I planned a vacation with my dad after my gymnastics career. Little different vibe.
Yeah? What did you guys do?
We went to the beach.
Okay. Talk about clever choreography. This one is magical. Elle Miller.
Brings such an intensity to this choreography. She's just so locked in. lunge out of that front through to double tuck. This routine and vibe fits Elle so well. She is so sweet, but you would never know by the way she performs this routine. Just shows the emphasis they put in their dance work. Shy in that front 1.5 twist. Did a good job working out of it. Those feet weren't directly underneath her though, slightly behind her.
Movie fans will recognize this music from the movie Sinners.
Good routine from Elle. The biggest deduction is going to be that front 1.5 twist.
We mentioned earlier about that sort of championship level 198 mark that all teams are shooting for. Well, Oklahoma with a 9.875 from Elle Miller would secure Oklahoma's 5th consecutive 198. Marissa Neal now coming after the high score for Auburn on beam was a 9.85 for Alex Irvine.
Marissa, 3 elements in a row. Handsome layout.
Yes.
Easy as can be. You talked about Marissa doing her own thing. Does the same thing on beam as well. You see her sit off to the side, get in her zone, and then lock in for the routine.
I spoke to both Marissa and Alex Irvine a couple of days ago, and Alex says that Marissa, she's vital to the team culture, and you can see that leadership just in the way she performs. With such authority.
Slight hop out of that dismount, but like you said, Bart, she performs with such authority in her gymnastics, and the team can build off of that confidence and really use it.
All right. Oklahoma's next athlete will be Camilla Pavlak. And guess what? Alabama senior Natalia Pavlak, her sister, recorded a special message for her before today's competition.
Hi, Camila. It's me. Just want to wish you good luck today. You're going to kill it. Love you.
And remember, Alabama, LSU coming up right after this meet concludes down in Baton Rouge. Number 2 versus number 3. Stay with us. 9.85 the score for Elle Miller. So Oklahoma, if they hope to be their 5th consecutive 198, will need a little bit more out of Camilla Pavlak.
Well, Camilla's been in the back half of this lineup this entire season, which we don't see her on any other events either. Got to shout out that she waits the entire meet to do floor, just has to sit, keep her legs warm. Closes with this 1.5 front full. Legs buckled last week into the second skill. See if they can stay tight today. And that was a similar mistake to what she had last week. Almost ran out of gas a little bit. It's a long season. It's hard to keep that endurance up. You see them focus on that conditioning, that leg conditioning in the gym.
Remind everybody that when we're done here in Norman, stick around because it's number 2 LSU hosting Alabama. Her sister, Natalia, will be competing for the Crimson Tide in the next meet of our triple header tonight here on the SEC Network. The Pawlak sisters, both coached by their parents, former members of the Polish national team. There are 3 athletes on the Oklahoma Sooners team that were actually coached by their parents, who were all former gymnasts. KJ Kindler herself has a D1 athlete, and that her daughter Maggie Ball is a D1 athlete and a competitor for the University of Iowa as a freshman. So KJ told us earlier, maybe the fact that she has that experience of raising a D1 athlete who's a gymnast kind of draws a little bit of a connection to some of these parents who are wondering who they're going to turn their daughter over to. What do you think about that?
Totally. I feel like parents, especially parents that coach, feel even more comfortable in KJ's hands, knowing that she has her own athlete in collegiate gymnastics right now, knows that they can trust her in the way that she's going to build their daughter.
Maggie Ball did her club training at Bart Connor Gymnastics. I'm proud of that, but happy to see that she is doing so well in that beam spot for the University of Iowa. Okay, so when we come back, we'll wrap this one up. Oklahoma with a 197.975 by 25 thousandths of a point. Misses that 198, but they will get the SEC regular season title.